Hello, I am Patricia Fuqua Lovett, and I am with the South Metro Democratic Women's Council. One of the things that we do in the council is that we introduce candidates to the community. And today we have the honor of introducing the community to one of the candidates that's running for Ward D at large, Mark Fields. The purpose of the organization is to, like I said, introduce the community, but we also want to let you know that we do other things as well. And so, if you are interested in the South Metro Democratic Women's Council, we will be happy to talk to you. Thank you, Mr. Fields, for joining us. It is my
Pleasure.
pleasure to have you, and I will begin by asking you to just tell us a little something about yourself.
Okay, thank you. And firstly, thank you to the Southern Metro Democratic Women's Council for putting this on. I really appreciate you all creating a space for anyone who wants to offer themselves to public service to have a place to offer our thoughts to the community. And so thank you very much for putting this on.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
I like to kind of say that my life is I'll do a real fast synopsis of how I got to where I'm sitting today, right now. I was actually born in Arizona, and my grandparents were farmers on my father's side and preachers on my mother's side. And when my parents divorced, my mother took us to Alaska, from Arizona to Alaska, so we understand hot and cold. And that's where she met my stepfather, who was a fantastic man, and she married him. And we started our travels throughout the United States because he was in the Air Force. And by the time I was 12, I think I had maybe 5 or 6 different addresses. And so that taught me how to quickly get in and quickly get along and figure out my place when you travel that much and you learn that as a child.
Wow.
I graduated high school in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and went on to college at the University of Florida and University of North Florida, where I graduated. And so while I was in college, I did several things that really just made me who I am today. I started with the Boys and Girls Club of America, and I was a education coordinator for them while I was in college, helping young folks after school with school homework and all that. And that being there for a few years, and I realized that that is something that I love doing. And
Mhm.
so I continued on with Boys and Girls Club for another 7 years, and I became a director for Boys and Girls Club in Jacksonville, Florida, and opened up a Boys and Girls Club called Society Court Boys and Girls Club, which I was very, very proud to do. I worked with the mayor and the city council and all the people at a very young age to be able to open up that Boys and Girls Club and watched it thrive for the years that I was there. I also taught school, 3rd grade and 5th grade, so I have an education background and realized that I do love to teach, and that was a tremendous experience for me. I taught both in Spanish and in English for my 3rd graders, and for the 5th grade, all the kids in my 5th grade class had what was called special needs. They weren't diagnosed with anything other than maybe what is called a defiance disorder. Well, they taught me how to be a real teacher. And I loved it because it taught me patience. It taught me how to be creative, to get young people to learn. And most importantly, it taught me about my own way of looking at life and not limiting anyone. Moving on from that, and after I left Boys and Girls Club and teaching, I started with where I'm currently now and with Delta Airlines. And I've been with Delta Airlines for 28 years. It has been one of the best decisions I've ever made. Throughout my career at Delta, I've done everything from rescue flights down to Cyprus to pick up people who were being evacuated because of the Lebanon and the um, uh, and Israel having conflict, and I've flown around the world to pick up troops. Uh, been involved in a few crazy things on the airplane that we can talk about at a later time. And I also am an instructor there. So I've continued to use my skill of instruction. And so I've taught flight attendants to how to be a flight attendant. And in my job, I'm also work very closely with the FAA. So I not only interpret the federal aviation regulations, I also make sure that they're being upheld. And so when I moved to East Point, because Delta Airlines brought me here, I was told, you want to check Riverdale, you want to check College Park, you want to check uh, Atlanta, but do not check East Point. And I'm hard headed on that way. So I said, let me go check out this East Point since they said don't go through. And I drove down. There was a house that I live in right now that was on the market. It was bank owned, vacant, and in a lovely neighborhood. And I drove up and I looked at it and went inside and thought, I could do something with this.
Mm.
And shortly after, my neighbors started showing up saying, hey, are you going to buy this house? And I thought, yeah, possibly. And I, in fact, did buy the house because of the folks coming from all over to say, please move into the neighborhood. And this is the community that I've had since, and going on now almost 22 years in East Point. I got involved immediately. Once I moved into the house, I started with our neighborhood association, the Washington Road Neighbors Association, where I served as president for 10 years, vice president for a couple of years, and just stayed active with them. I worked on the building authority for the city of East Point. I went through the leadership academy because I wanted to understand how the city works. And I learned a lot about how East Point functions. And I have a drive to make sure that our wonderful city prospers. One of the things that many of us know already is East Point is poised to just take off because we are close to the airport. I just recently took a train ride just to see from the airport to the East Point station, 4 minutes and 28 seconds when I was walking off. That's why people want to move to East Point. So we've got to create something here in East Point that's going to anchor people here, bring new talent in, bring new young folks in, and make sure that we are protecting our seniors who are here. And so that's about me. I'm a gardener. I fish all the time, and I like to share my garden with my neighbors. So thank you. That's a little bit about me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You've already spoken to some of this, but can you just tell the people that are viewing today, what is your platform? Why are you running for Ward D at large?
Thank you. My platform really consists of the things that uh, the people from Ward A, B, C, and D who I've talked to want. One, they want smart growth for our city. And I like to call it growing our city smartly. What does that mean? That means we've got to be intentional about where we put housing. With to a fault, everyone that I've talked to want housing that young folks can move in and purchase, not apartments. So they want ownership because ownership anchors you to a community. And the people who I know who are in apartments, they want to own as well. So we've got to come up with ways so affordable housing for our city. That ties into growing the city smartly and bringing new residents in. In order for us to really control our federal funds and state funds ourselves, uh, there is that little marker of about 50,000 residents to be able to better control our own funds. Right now, Fulton County helps us do that because we have roughly 35,000 residents in the city of East Point. And if we get to that magic market of 50, then I think we're able to better dictate what we want to do with and how we get our monies going straight to the federal government. Uh, and so that means have to be smart about that, which means We have a census coming up in 10 years. Let's start today. Let's map out a plan. How do we get to that magic number of 50,000 smartly, which means you've got to have the infrastructure to hold, to attract all these new people and keep them. We've got to make sure our utility bills are attractive. The taxes are attractive. And when I say attract new folks, I also mean uh, the young folks. They don't want to cars. Most of them, many of them don't want cars. They want to hop on MARTA and they want to go where they want to go. They're going to take Uber and all the other ride shares. So we have to be mindful of that as well. So what do they want? They want a downtown area that's vibrant that they can Uber up to or Lyft to and go back home. But what does that mean for our seniors who are already here? So, which is another thing, part of my platform is to ensure that our seniors are taken care of. Mm-hmm. Our seniors have worked their entire lives to own their homes. The last thing that we want to do is have them priced out because of taxes on their properties. And so we have to work, we have to figure out a way, how do we ensure that our seniors are getting to stay in their properties as long as they want before someone comes in and tries to offer some absorbent amount of money to get them out. And I think tax incentives or having grants where if they're in trouble not being able to pay their end of year taxes, then we should be able to help them do that. That's what we do in our community, my small community of Washington Manor, and I think we can duplicate that across the city. Another part of my platform is ensuring that we continue with the infrastructure. I'm so glad to see that we have sidewalks going down Washington Road. One of the things that I know I worked for, and I don't like to say just me, but our Washington Road Neighbors Association, we would go down constantly and ask, where are the sidewalks? We have mothers pushing babies in strollers on the side of the street, and it's frightening to watch it. So I like to recognize progress. So it's taken all these years, but we have sidewalks coming in. That's the infrastructure. Now let's create something downtown that we can walk up on those sidewalks or ride our bikes on the bike path or the new path that we have. Go downtown, have lunch, catch a show, because that auditorium, we should figure out how do we get a movie company or some other organization that's going to restore it for us, and then we will use that auditorium for the arts and for concerts or whatever else that we have. And then finally, it really is about just ensuring that the quality of life for all of our residents is respected. We are diverse. We are growing, and the pressure is coming for more people to come in. So when they come in, we need to show them how to do it the East Point way. I like to say a small town feel in the city of East Point.
Good, thank you, thank you, thank you. One question that a lot of citizens are probably interested in, and that is COVID-19. Do you have anything in your bag of what you would like to have done or like to see? What do you think about legislative um, input from council, or just what do you have that to offer regarding COVID-19 as a
Thank you.
solution?
I'll start by saying I was a mask wearer. I was cautious. I was very cautious. I washed my hands. I worked for, obviously, I told you I worked for Delta, who had some very stringent protocol, and yet I caught COVID.
Hmm.
And so I'm speaking from experience. And so when Delta and other large companies, and in fact, the federal government mandated the mask on aircraft, and on our public transportation, I'm 100% behind it. There has to be something that protects us all. The reality is, and that right that moment was there were masks. That's how we could at least bring some of the infection rate down. I am support of the city continuing on as long as we are in a spiked episode of COVID. doing something that is going to help alleviate the amount of infections that are happening right now. With this new variant that we are dealing with, it has changed the game and it's taught us some other things. So vaccinations, I support. I support it from the standpoint, if you want to get a vaccination, absolutely. I also understand that if you don't want to, then that's perfectly fine. But I do believe that you should be prepared to show that you are not infected at that time if you're going into work, for instance, which is what's happening with many companies.
Okay, thank you so much. So, what can constituents, voters, council, anyone that's in the city of East Point, what can we expect from a Mark Field candidate, city council person that we are not already receiving?
Wow. I will gingerly say this: you will get honesty from me, and I think I'm sincere about the love of the city. I don't have any aspirations to move beyond the city of East Point. I love where I am. This is a wonderful place to be, and I just want to ensure that we maintain it. And what's interesting about that maintaining, and I'll go back to the other to the original question. I'm not coming up with my own ideas about what the city should maintain. I was integrated into the city with camaraderie, with neighborly love, with all the different things that were taught to me from the neighbors and the community that I moved into. So when I say uh, pass it on, I'm using what my neighbors across the street who was there for 30, 40 years taught me about how to build community in the city of East Point. So you'll get honesty from me. If I don't understand something, I'm going to tell you I don't understand it. If if I need more information, I will tell you that I need more information. If I disagree, I will respectfully disagree. I, one thing that I've learned, especially in this world of, in the airline world, is there's more than one way to get somewhere. There are many, many avenues, and my perspective may not be the only perspective. So what you're going to get is you're going to get someone who's going to listen, who will tell you honestly what I think. And when it comes time to make a decision, I will put the residents of the city of East Point first. And I won't tell a developer one thing and the residents another. I'm going to I will say exactly the same thing from from both perspectives. Their developers often, I'm talking specifically about businesses that want to come in. They come in with an idea. The residents have an idea, and so as a council person, I think you are sometimes mediator between those, ensuring that if we can attract new businesses and we can make sure that the residents get what they need, then that's the job of a council person who is helping to spur that conversation. Obviously, we can't do it by ourselves. So you've got to be able to mediate that conversation and get to a middle ground. So that's just a couple of the things that you would get from a Mark Fields sitting on the city council.
Thank you, thank you. So, if someone wants to get in touch with you, can you give us your contact information?
Absolutely. You can visit Mark for East Point, that's MARK, the number four, eastpoint.com. That's my website. It has all the information on it. It tells you a little more about me, why I came to the city, what I feel about the what's presently happening. So absolutely feel free to get in contact with me, and I will answer emails and get back to you.
And again, the website information?
Is Mark, MARK, the number four, eastpoint.com.
Thank you. So, in closing, if there's anything that you want to share, any questions within yourself that you wish we had asked but we did not, or if there's any information that you want to just say at this time, please feel free.
Thank you again. This has been a wonderful opportunity. I will, my guarantee to the constituents of Ward D is that I will absolutely fight to make sure that the L Circle uh, issue that we've been facing for the better part of 15 years is resolved, not resolved based on what just the city thinks or what developers thinks, but what we need for our community. I'm affected by it just like you. For our other um, wards, I've talked to folks who are downtown who have issues with the traffic or the parking when there's Wind Down Wednesday or a movie shoot. And so getting with those residents also and addressing their needs. That's what I want you to know is I will be across the city and make sure that I'm hearing all from all the wards and ensuring that I'm working for the people who live here in the city of East Point, the beautiful city of East Point.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mark Fields, candidate for Ward D at large. Thank you so much, and we wish you well on your campaign.
Thank you. I appreciate it.